The War on Normal Guys by Shoe0nHead.
Wendigoon is a horror conspiracy theorist YouTuber with several million subscribers, has a dark past with deep ties to far-right extremism. Wendigoon is very publicly friends with Turkey Tom. He is friends with Mutahar. He is publicly friends with Shoe0nHead, who is a conservative masquerading as a leftist.
What?
A few days ago, I saw this video pop up in my YouTube feed. Bad conservative horror movies. And I was immediately intrigued. I love long video essays about stupid shit like this. But what I got instead was the worst attempt at a hit piece I have ever seen on YouTube, ever.
So really quick, I know this is an early pause. If you're going to do a hit piece on YouTube, don't. Unless there's very good reason to, like someone is like streamer, right? Endangering someone else, right? Okay. That's fine. Or somebody is outed as doing some really awful stuff. So if I were to say, make a hit piece on, I don't know, Shoe0nHead, right? First of all, don't. It's not nice. It's not kind. It's not professional, right? It makes me look like a jerk. Second, why? Ask yourself, is it going to be worth it? And then third, you have to consider the type of audience that's going to attract, right? I do commentary. I talk about stuff. I talk about things, right? I don't always have W takes. I try my best, and I'm fairly consistent. If you're going to make a hit piece, don't. It is, as they say, a certified dick move.
Sit down and get comfy, because it's time for an old-fashioned video response.
I miss response videos, actually. I might start doing them. I miss response videos.
Now, before we get into this video, I just want to thank today's sponsor, you. This video is sponsored by all of you who donate to me on Patreon.com. Thank you all very much. I made you some cookies. These are just for the people who support me on Patreon. Only they get a cookie. Not you. I see you, freeloader.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've been pretty busy lately doing personal life things, but when this went down, I was like, I can't not respond to this. But by the time I was done with the script, the man had already deleted the video after it was downvoted to hell. But even though the video is gone, I still want to respond to it for 3 reasons. 1, I am directly involved in this. 2, I'm tired of these type of people running their mouths. And 3, this topic is pretty timeless. And that topic is what I like to call the war on normal guys. I
want to see where she goes with this. I do think that this is something that has validity to it. I want to see her talking points. There is definitely this like bias against your quote unquote average guy.
So yeah, I wrote a script for a video with this title, and it was about the YouTuber Wendigoon being canceled on Twitter. For those of you who don't know, Wendigoon is a popular YouTuber who makes video about true crime, horror, and cryptids. And no, despite popular belief, Wendigoon has nothing to do with gooning. Wendigoon is what most YouTubers who don't make political videos should be. His channel is completely apolitical. I don't like clicking a video about iCarly and then having to listen to you about how much you hate Trump, or clicking a video about Fallout and hearing you go off about how Joe Biden sucks. I don't care. If I want to—
What if I made a video about the 1911 and spent the whole time talking about 2A? Oh, absolutely. There's going to be some people that are like, hell yeah, brother, right? But for a lot of you out there, would you not see it as a betrayal of my image? Talking about something that is inherently political, and it can divide people, right? Do you see how that works? Yeah, I agree.
Hear milquetoast political opinions, I would watch my own videos. But no, despite being non-political, Wendigoon is a great channel. He has a good community, he's very positive, he's a Sunday school teacher, he has a beautiful wife, he's friendly, funny, and kind. Which of course makes him an enemy to the most annoying people on earth. Month after month after month, I would see threads on Twitter and on Reddit about what a terrible person Wendigoon was. But when I would go searching for reasons why, there was really nothing besides vibes. I simply do not like Wendigoon. He has bad vibes coming off him like stinky line. The vibes on this guy have never been right. I live in the Bible Belt. He has the vibes of the kids who would have been comfortable saying racist and homophobic slurs and bullied me in grade school.
Oh man. Acrobatic Dot, you would not have survived on Xbox Live, my guy. I heard some stuff. Oof.
He always gave me weird vibes. Deeply uncomfortable vibes from this guy. I initially unfollowed him because I started getting weird vibes from him. There are evil energies surrounding this man.
Weird.
Wait, what'd he do? He used to be a youth pastor. Some people got weird vibes, and that's fair. It's rare to see a youth pastor with good vibes. What did Wendigoon do? Honestly, a lot of it is just the vibes.
So nothing citation. So I'm going to bring this up, okay? Because this actually got involved with me recently. There was a post recently, and I did post about this in my community tab. There was a person on Twitter, and for the sake of this, how I ended that conversation, they were someone that in their like title was just like trans pride flag, right? And they reposted a photoshopped image of like a Russian badger photo saying some really just awful stuff. And so I comment on it, and I'm like, you got a source on this? Like, you are engaging in harassment trying to cancel this man for something that I cannot locate. My mod team and I cannot locate this. Okay? Do you have a source on this? They DM me. Just straight, not no respect. They actually like directly DM me. Hey, I'm sorry about that. It was my bad. I didn't do my research, you know. It's all good. To which and then they follow me. To which I respond, I don't feel comfortable with this. I don't feel comfortable that you willingly didn't do your research, that you were willingly able to engage in harassment and misinformation. And I really don't even feel comfortable with this conversation because me calling this out does risk and carries the risk from the vocal minority of the LGBTQIA plus community of me being transphobic or anti-trans. This is a specific individual. That was the problem. Let me stress this. It was an individual and not the collective. To which I was the bad guy because they blocked me after that. Just, oh, you're a dick kind of thing, right? Regardless of if I'm in the right, I'm still in the wrong, as it turns out. Yes, I fought misinformation when somebody tried to slander Russian Badger. And I will gladly do it where I can. And then you try to hold people accountable for it, and then you're the asshole. You called me out on this. How dare you? How dare you not take my apology? How dare you call me out for misinformation? It's a wild place out there. That is not everybody. It's not. And it's the select people that make it very, very hard to shift opinions.
I needed more. I needed to hear some real reasons why people disliked this guy. I needed real arguments. I needed a living soy jack meme with a pedo mustache and bisexual lighting to string up and beat like a piñata.
Bisexual
Enter
lighting, let's
in
go.
Praise of Shadows, aka Zane. A leftist video essayist straight out of the aging millennial hipster factory. Seriously, why do they all look like this? What genre of man is this? The mustache, the hair, the clothing, post-ironic neo-redneck? You know how some people talk about how women's taste in men gets all weird and f***ed up when they're on birth control? These are the men. I'm gonna call—
We had a conversation the other day, a statistically oriented conversation about the U.S. and Canadian statistic for women and a certain canine interest. It's way too high. That conversation makes you want to drink. Let's put it that way. There's some weird stuff in life.
Birth control hot. I'm in no position to talk about style. I still do my makeup like it's 2009. Zane is a horror movie video essayist who, for some reason, decided to randomly go after Wendigoon and several other popular YouTubers and myself. His video starts off with him complaining that he got a lot of hate for his take about the movie Hills Have Eyes.
The hill people can be representative of anything that you want them to be, really. They can be Native Americans, and the hills themselves can be allegorical of them being forced back onto reservations.
You saw a bunch of cannibal mutants and thought of Native Americans?
That's a stretch, Captain. Like, well, even then, there's still objectivity in something like that. Where if here's the big one. You guys are gonna love this, okay? Do you know that there's a section of the Naruto community, like Naruto Shippuden, that thinks the Uchiha clan is synonymous with like United States Native American tribes or certain tribes from there? It's almost like, you know, I don't know. My brain hurts whenever I get into this argument. But talking with Buddy on that, I'm just like, so yeah, this is what's being said. And he's like, that's objectively false. And then points to specific clan that the Uchiha is based off of, or specific family that the Uchiha clan is based off of, right? So yes, to a degree, you can draw allegories from anything, right? Like, oh, you know, you can take like imagery of like, oh, the blue curtains represents the depression. The artist might have just liked blue curtains, you know. Oh, well, Tolkien doing X equals Y, not necessarily. Oh, well, the Uchiha are an awesome depiction of Native American culture or something. No, what? Do you got a source on that? Do you have? You have to present me a paper on this, Captain. That's a little bit of a far-fetched thing to say. So, when I hear something like that, I understand what the intent is. However, there is still sometimes that objectivity to it, and you can just be wrong. And it's okay to be wrong sometimes. That's how we learn. Do you know that whenever I make mistakes, I love it because I know what to not do. That's how I learn. Hey, if I want to go take down a 1911 platform, if I want to go take down an M9 platform, right? How many times does it take me to get it right? Sometimes I'll watch videos and stuff like that. Eventually I get it right. Do I do it right first try? No. Did I know how to use the takedown pins on an AR platform first try? No. But I made mistakes and I found out how to do it. That's fine. This just gets into a weird territory where it's trying to be subjective when there's an objective truth behind it. I understand where OP is going. I don't necessarily agree with it.
Anyway, he goes on to talk about how people were misrepresenting him and leaving rude comments.
The cruel and untrue things that you say about another person do in fact have direct impacts on them and the way that people culturally see them. Are these your own genuine original thoughts and criticisms that you have based on my actual words and things that I have done, or that maybe you haven't thought critically about what you were reading online, about other people?
And about how after this video, apparently a lot of his subscribers stopped watching him, and now he's poor and can't afford rent.
There was a month last year where I only made $500 in ad revenue.
Yeah.
I can't live off that.
Which, if you're ever at this point, you need to get a job, or at least a side job. That's capitalism.
Or, I mean, at where I'm at, right? I make pretty comfortable doing what I do, right? But I am branching out to other projects. This, yes, is the reality of this. As somebody that has gone through it, as somebody that has gone through demonetization, somebody that's gone through copyright issues, as somebody that's had to have fights over copyright, right? There is a certain breakaway point that if I say started making $200 a month from YouTube, you know what? I hear Shields might be hiring. I hear this other job could be hiring. I could do AP again, right? Like, when you hit a certain breakaway point like that, you have to focus your life. And even then, the negative feedback loop that can happen. So say you have 40,000 people following you, right? But, you know, say 30,000 of them kind of weave in and out, which is reasonable, right? Some people want to watch Moist Critical. Some people want to watch Shoe0nHead directly. Some people want to watch Asmongold. You get what I'm saying. And only say maybe 5,000 people regularly engage with you, but you keep making posts talking about complaining, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Aren't you going to wear out those 5,000 people? And I'm going to get that comment, wow, Kip, it's almost like you do that. Yeah. It's almost like I've made mistakes and that I try to learn from my mistakes. And I also try to look at the bigger picture, right? It's all, if you can go in every single day and learn something new, you've done your best. Always strive to learn something new. And if you are in a situation that isn't hospitable to what you're doing, try to find ways out of it. And venting to others is fine. Seek help. Reach out to friends.
Meritocracy. Either make better content or get a job.
Yes.
Hey, maybe if we get communism, you can be the community YouTuber.
I just had the
No, I'm just
communism
kidding.
anthem
Your
playing
ass
in
is
my
going
head.
to the mines. Then finally, an hour into the video, he gets to the topic, conservative horror movies.
Sure.
But then suddenly, seemingly out of nowhere, it was like he accidentally uploaded a schizophrenic meltdown.
Uh-huh. All right, we're already getting to some weird territory with this when it's just titled Wendigoon. Not from the user, but very specifically talking about horror movies, and this is gonna be weird. This is gonna be weird chant moment.
If you're not aware, Wendigoon is a horror conspiracy theorist YouTuber with several million subscribers
Sure.
that, as you will hopefully come to see, should not be seen as the wholesome, southern-friendly dad persona that he has publicly constructed around himself in the past several years. And that, like many people who talk about being Christians as much as he does, has a dark past with deep ties to far-right extremism.
Ooh, this sounds pretty bad. He's not the heckum wholesome YouTube dad we all thought. What could he
This is so funny because I literally just watched the South Park QAnon episode where Mr. Garrison tries to get his teaching job back, Oh my god. Like, this is all levels of meta for me right now. I love South Park. I can't quote 90% of what I see on South Park for obvious reasons. God, I love shitpost humor.
Have possibly done?
There are many things that are red flags that we could talk about, from the bizarre gun ownership.
What?
Yikes! An American man owns guns? Not very heckin' wholesome, Wendigoon. He goes on to talk about how Wendigoon is rich, and therefore he doesn't
Sure.
respect Wendigoon's opinion on media.
No.
He became exceptionally wealthy by the time that he was 19 or 20. I have no need or desire to hear 5 hours of opinions on Blood Meridian from a
I've never actually heard of Blood Meridian until I saw like a Wendigoon thumbnail video on it. I still haven't watched it. I didn't know this existed. Like, this sounds interesting. I don't know what it's about. I hope it's a horror zombie thing. I don't know what it's about. Sounds interesting.
21-year-old millionaire.
Like, what exactly is the correct amount of money to have where your opinions still matter? Like, if you
The objective answer for him is less money than he is currently making. So if he's making $500 a month in his low month, Wendigoon should be making $400 for his opinion to matter. Because these people exist.
suddenly got a bunch of video views and a bunch of patrons like you want, would we be justified in dismissing your opinions on movies? This honestly just feels like a conservative's idea of what a leftist is. Like, it's not just about hating people for having money. Like, what is Wendigoon's position of power in relation to the means of production? Does he own a business? Does he have employees he's mistreating? Not that I know of. He's just a guy who makes YouTube videos. Like you. Only difference is he's good at it and makes money, and you're not, and you don't. Okay, for real though, there's gotta be more, right? What crimes has Wendigoon committed? Well,
So, and here's the thing, right? OP has already made accusations. OP has already opened up with, as far as ties to far right extremists, you know, A, B, C. He's already made these accusations. What are we looking at? Show us your sources. What do you have for us? What are these damning pieces of evidence that you have?
to start, he committed the crime of having friends.
Wendigoon is very publicly friends with Turkey Tom. They have been seen together on multiple occasions, and
Who's
I've seen
Turkey
online
Tom?
mentions that Tom was either at his wedding or at the very least was invited.
They have been seen together. I have seen online mentions that he was at his wedding. He's saying
That's like saying that like Brandon Herrera was seen on Unsubscribed Podcast, or like Fat Electrician was seen on Unsubscribed Podcast with like Donut Operator. Okay, and this is information that has a different context than, say, somebody rolling up with EDP 445, right? I can't say it because YouTube apparently likes to protect the dude, but what I can say is like that has a different connotation. Does it not? I think from a reasonable perspective, who I have no idea who Turkey Tom is. Sure, grats, you've seen somebody. That's like Shoe0nHead goes to a convention and maybe you see like Shoe0nHead and like, I don't know, Jaden Animations in the same area. What have we achieved here? They were in the same space. Okay?
this shit like Turkey Tom is wanted for murder, and not like he just said some slurs on Discord when he was a teenager. Does this guy vet like every single person he's ever been friends with or spoken?
Okay, so here's the difference on this, okay? People... God, this is going to be a really fun one. People are allowed to make mistakes, right? If you, as a shitty teenager, did something, say you stole something, say you say a slur you weren't supposed to, does that make it okay? No. Doesn't make it okay. However, people are allowed to grow. People are allowed to grow up. The issue, the contention, is when the view is current. So, for instance, there was a larger YouTuber that I did try to punch up at because of certain views, and they said that, yeah, well, all React content creators are personalities that will commit essay, and they, from their tweet at me, reinforced that was still their current view. That is not growing beyond. You still have the same view. That's like if I, Kip, were to say something like, a funny little N-word that is said a lot on Boondocks, right? How many of you would be like, Kip, that's that's not cool, right? Reasonably so, right? We all make mistakes. We all grow. And if given the opportunity to grow past it and beyond it, why should we be held accountable within reason for things that happened in the past? Now, there becomes things of certain natures, like touching a child, you will never live that down. You do not exist to me at that point. You are done. You are gone. I do not recognize you, right? That's the severe extreme end of the spectrum, though, right? You stole something from Walmart when you were 13. Should I hold that against you? Not really. I don't feel like that's necessarily fair. You one time accidentally discharged when you were out at a range, right? Guess what? We all make mistakes. We all learn. It is in a heavily inflated environment, right? It's an escalated environment because of what firearms are, but you moved on. You grew from that experience. It becomes problematic when you don't grow from that experience and you still have views or you still do things that are problematic, right? The person that is addicted to crack, right, that gets clean and then falls back into it is, yes, subject to addiction. Reasonably, though, your average person doesn't do crack until you work in kitchens, and then you realize everyone's doing it, and then you're the only one that doesn't. You're the angriest person in that kitchen during rush hour. But that's beside the point. So, I like how this was supposed to be like a fun-hearted discussion, and like I'm tackling just macro issues in the world and society. This is just my average day. I don't really. This is a look into Kip's actual personal life.
Hey, before you enter my house, I'm gonna have to go through your Discord history from 7 years ago. I was gonna say no, but I can see this guy doing that.
Wendigo
Sure, you can do that. Be prepared to not have friends.
is publicly friends with Donut Operator, and even retweeted a photograph of the two of them hugging. Donut Operator is a gun-crazed, very far-right YouTuber with 4 million subscribers. His content is very pro-state, pro-cop, pro-gun, and pro-death to people who don't share his beliefs propaganda.
What?
For example, one of his videos is titled, Predator Takes Shotgun to the Face.
I love the example he used is a literal pedophile being killed. He's very pro-death for people who don't share his beliefs. Take, for example, this pedophile. Is that
Definitely not a, okay, what was it? I think we did watch, what's the incident that Fallelujah, what was it, 7 Days in Fallelujah? What's that game based off of? Someone's gonna know what it is. Someone's gonna know what I'm talking about. He did a video on that, right? Or am I thinking of someone else? I watched some of his content, and I'm just like, yeah, I mean, there's politics weaved into there. There's certain things that, you know, because of the content nature that was discussed in the video, I never posted the reaction to it. I was actually like, yeah, Kip, you actually had a really reasonable take on this. But because there are figures like Hillary Clinton and stuff in there, and because this is military and I'm not military, I didn't feel comfortable necessarily releasing it, because the difference of discussing something like, I don't know, the Workers' Party becoming the funny end party in World War II, Germany, and discussing something like that, is that these people are still around today. This is current events. I already have to discuss current events in my personal life to a shocking degree. I don't like coming here and having to discuss it, and I think it just puts out the wrong image for me, if that makes sense. Very complex situation. So it's why I'm okay reacting to things like, you know, from the Cold War, or reacting to things prior to 2001, and why I tend to lean off things that come out, you know, like the Fallelujah situation, right? Because that has current effects. And that's not even like me trying to be this reasonable, I have to be in the middle. It's just what I'm willing and not willing to talk about. Because the moment Kip starts getting political is the moment that Kip no longer has friends, because I hate a lot of stuff. Because that's not going to get taken out of context. I just don't like talking about it. I don't like discussing it. If I have to discuss it like in this capacity, yes, I will discuss it. And I will discuss it in as professional and proper a manner as possible. Right? That's kind of my logic behind this.
what you mean by people who don't share his beliefs? Out of all the videos, why that one? You're not gonna find many people who are gonna be like, oh no, the poor child molester.
No.
Well, maybe you will, but most people won't. Also, he's trying to act like Donut Operator is just a complete simp for the police, and he's really not. Even in the screenshot you show in the background, there's like 3 whole videos in frame where he's clearly being critical of the police.
For someone who supposedly is so very anti-government, Wendigoon seems very comfortable with a man who makes his living worshipping violence committed by the state. And the only thing that one could reasonably gather from this picture of them hugging is that he too is a fascist bootlicker himself.
What a stretch, dude. This is in real time, any % how to kill your brand. That's like if I put out a video and midway through, I just start I guess technically you could say it about this video because I already talked about Hallelujah and stuff, but I hope I'm being as respectful as I can. That is above my pay grade and understanding to have in a public conversation. Like, this is a actual, like, any percent how to kill your brand. See mistakes? Learn from others' mistakes so you don't do this, right?
Actually, we can't reasonably gather anything because you haven't given us anything to gather. You label this guy very far right, and he might be very far right, but you haven't shown anything very far right. Like, take a step back and evaluate the bare basics of what you just showed us. Wendigoon hugging someone who thinks it's okay when a pedophile dies. Okay, but let's be fair. Maybe there's more. Maybe there's something worse. Let's see.
He is friends with Brandon Buckingham, a gun YouTuber who has been accused of threatening rape.
Okay, so first of all, let's rewind. This guy is not a gun tuber. This just proved this man did absolutely no research. I'm talking like 2 seconds going to this guy's channel amount.
Bro was complaining about how you need $500 in ad revenue. Dude's about to, like, go to zero. Like, this is very real. These are consequences of putting out a hit piece, especially one that you don't research, right? Like, there's certain figures in the Destiny 2 community that I've been very vocal about, saying that the game is too easy and that, everything needs to be harder, right? Can you imagine if I did a hit piece on that, though? Like, yeah, no, this person and this and this and that. Bro, this is weird, right? Like, you see where that line is, right?
Research. And for those who are unaware, that rape thing is a complete lie. It is a complete lie made up by... Sit down, Sneeko.
Oh my god. Okay, so that's actually one of those things, and I'm glad that she's citing this. So, Shoe0nHead, good on you for citing this. Like, I appreciate the citation. 2, this is what your reputation gets you if you tank your reputation. If Sneeko says something, I inherently just dismiss it. Okay, I need to fact check this. Well, Sneeko said it. Oh, I need to go find the source for that. I need to fact check this because that doesn't sound right. Like, it's Sneeko, right? How the brand is now associated with disinformation, misinformation, saying wrong things, right? I don't say everything correct on here, but what I do say, if I have something wrong, somebody in the comments, please point it out. And there's a number of things I've learned from the comments section.
Made that up, and Sneeko had to apologize and admit it was a lie because it was literal slander. I just love how in his little breadtube tryout video, he uses Sneeko as a fucking source. I mean, it's not like his other sources are any better.
No.
His other sources being Reddit. He got like 90% of this information from a thread about Wendigoon in a drama subreddit called R YouTube Drama. This man, like...
Dude, really? That's one of those things that, like, I would go there, do a video on it, but understand that it's all just like parody and or satire and probably BS. That does not sound like a good place to be.
Borderline plagiarized Reddit comments. Source pee-pee-poo-poo-123 and Sneeko. Nice job on the research, you fucking hack. Also, I love the screenshot he's using. This you, bro? This you showing sympathy to someone whose grandfather is dying?
He has collaborated with Nick Crowley, who constantly makes money through the most morbid and shameful true crime content of showcasing the last minutes of people before they are suddenly and unexpectedly killed.
That is controversial, though, on YouTube, terms of service-wise. That is actually controversial from an advertising standpoint. But if Patreon does it, like, I don't know. That might actually get age-gated right out the gate, though. I think that if it's age-gated and the information is explicitly available from the title and or description, there is a corner of YouTube that would like that and be interested in that. It's not my cup of tea. Maybe I'm trying to play devil's advocate too much, but, like, that's something that, like, just tag it, right? Like, if I'm going into a video that's talking about a actual live police situation or a school situation that went south, right? I would expect that there would be the certain safeguards in place, like, hey, this is mature content. This is content that is controversial in a lot of aspects. But you do have the freedom to still access that should you choose.
I don't know much about this guy, but it seems like your issue with him is that he makes true crime content. I mean, personally, I'm not a huge fan of true crime content, but it's extremely popular on YouTube.
Yeah, Crowley is similar to Wendigoon, and that on the surface they seem...
To clarify, because there's that one person in the comment section, this is not me throwing shade at Nick Crowley. I'm pretty sure I've come across his videos before. It depends in a vacuum from him explaining this explanation of last final moments. I'm taking that in a vacuum without other research. Note, in this discussion, I am openly admitting I have not done my research on this. In a vacuum, this is this. If this is proven otherwise, like if it's like something like Into the Shadows by like Simon Whistler, right? Cool. Awesome. This is a different ballgame. I am taking the information presented, giving my opinion on it in a way that says this could actually be wrong. I actually encourage people to fact check me on this. Do you see the difference here?
Fairly edgy, but clean enough. But then you notice that he follows less than 200 people on Twitter, and among them are the same circle with names like Wendigoon, Plagued Moth, Turkey Tom, Mr. Ballin, and Donut Operator.
On the surface,
okay. Mr. Ballin's great, though. React to his videos. Love Mr. Ballin.
they look clean enough to pass the vibe check. But then you look closer and notice he follows people who don't pass the vibe check. These people hate the police, and yet they're always like, sir, I'm gonna have to take a look at that Twitter follow list. Just absolute cop behavior. ACAB includes the follow police.
Wendigoon is publicly friends with Brandon Herrera, who has made jokes that implied that he was sympathetic with public shooters who killed leftists. I've also seen...
I need a source on that one, Captain. At the very least, as far as I'm aware, not anything recent. See our prior discussion, rewind to about, 3 minutes of my discussion about people making mistakes and growing, right? That's an accusation. What's the source?
People insinuate that Herrera was with Wendigoon in the days of being part of the Boogaloo movement, but I cannot find substantial proof on if this is true or not.
Bro, what? Self-actualization. Cannot find actual hard evidence that this happened. Why cite it, bro? That's conjecture at best. My brother in Kaisar. That's not how that works. Oh, God, this is that. No, that's not okay. That's not okay. That also is different than what I did 2 minutes ago, right? Saying, hey, I don't know about this. Please fact check me. I'm not making a blatant accusation, I would argue. Ooh.
But I've seen several comments saying this.
Oh, but I've seen the comments,
so
bro.
So online, it is at least culturally believed to be true.
Hey guys, I heard Praise of Shadows a dog. No, I don't have any proof, but it's culturally believed to be true.
Right? We've taken the same logic and applied it to the situation. You see how this is a bad practice? You see how this can lead to slander, libel, lawsuits, cease and desists? Right?
He is friends with Oompaville, a gun-obsessed content creator.
Oompaville! What the hell did Oompaville do? He's not even political whatsoever. I guess that's the problem, isn't it? But no, you're a bad person if you shot a gun even once. This is America. That's like saying you're a bad person if you ate a cheeseburger. His other
Some people actually think that is the problem.
Example of Oompaville being bad is making videos about Nikocado avocado, as if anyone and their mother has not made a Nikocado avocado video. This is ridiculous.
I actually have not. He's across my desk. I haven't made a video on him. I'm also small, to be fair.
There has to be more.
He is friends with Mutahar.
Mutahar? Really? If someone can't be friends with Mutahar, they can't be friends with anyone. That dude is, like, so not problematic.
And has recently showcased a...
I mean... No, like, I agree with that statement. I don't watch Mutahar because he usually covers things that are, like, kind of like Moist Critical in the same vein, right? Covering things that can be negative, but in a constructive manner or a call-out manner. It's like not choosing to go to Wendy's because you want a salad, right? Or not going to like Texas Roadhouse because you want like fish that night and you want to go to like a sushi place, right? Like I have no issue with Mutahar. And I think a lot of people that do generally are problematic, but that could be a generalization. Like I think there's this misconception that like I don't like Mutahar. I like him. I just watch different things because outside of like I remember Some Ordinary Gamers from when it was just the creepypasta channel, right? The Some Ordinary Gamers creepypastas, and it's evolved over the years. And honestly, good on him for being able to do this as a full-time job. Have no issue with the dude. Just some of the content he does, cool, little negative. I go watch other things, right? But I'll definitely funnel people to his channel in what ways that I can if people are looking for someone that does do that, right? I don't know. It's weird. Twitter users, comment threads, they get really weird when it comes to this.
great deal of transphobia in his most recent video.
Okay, nothing in Mudahar's video was transphobic at all. I don't even know why I have to entertain this. Simply talking about a trans person isn't transphobia, and I wish that we could, like, move past this and just treat trans people like human beings. And
But that's the thing, is that, like, literally told you earlier, right? Someone identifying, right? Misinformation, engaging in blatant misinformation. I don't feel comfortable because the moment I call it out and the moment they DM me, it's like, I don't know how to take this, right? If I call this out, people will call me transphobic. People will call me anti-trans. Like, they're the extreme minority that's really vocal, don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of people can mirror that sentiment with certain problematic individuals. It is not a reflection of the whole. And yes, so the counter argument I've heard for some of these things is like, well, what about the LGBTQIA plus community sending threats? First off, if that's true, these are problematic individuals. Second, I don't care what you identify as. I don't care for male, female, non-binary, a toaster, an F-15. I don't care. If you think that it's okay to send threats or send a funny little pipe-shaped device to someone's mailbox, you are part of the problem. I don't care what you identify as. I don't care what group you're from. This is not how adults act. And I think that's incredibly fair. And that's the part that frustrates me.
not like these like delicate little angels that we need to like step on eggshells around. It's really weird.
Who argued against Andrew Tate being deplatformed from social media websites.
He believes in the concept of free speech for everyone. Wow. Just like the Nazis. This is what you're using to paint Mudahar as a bad person in order to paint Wendigoon as a bad person. You're running out of paint, bro.
So, if I had to look at this in a vacuum, because I didn't know about the Andrew Tate thing, here's how I look at this. If he is advocating for the stance of freedom of speech on the internet, I can see where Mudahar's coming from. It's not that he supports Tate, it's that it sets a bad precedent. You know what else sets a bad precedent? Someone like Sniper Wolf doxing Jack's films. You know what that sets a bad precedent for on the platform going forward? So yes, it's not that I have issues with specific well, in React content I have issues with her, but it's that it sets a bad precedent. If that is the situation, and I implore you, comment section, tell me if that is the situation or not, I can see why he would say that. Absolutely. I can see why he would want a precedent to not be set by that. And that's fair.
Goon is publicly connected to the Internet Historian, and has even appeared in his videos. The Internet Historian publicly said that his birthday was April 20th. It is not. And has only said that as a joke because that is Hitler's birthday.
Ah yes, April 20th, Hitler's birthday. There are no other jokes surrounding the number 420. It's a weed joke. It's like making a joke about the number 69. This is either extremely dishonest manipulation, saying April 20th instead of the number 420 so people wouldn't notice, or you are profoundly mentally retarded, sir. Who the is a joke about 420 and automatic?
In this situation, I allow it the pass because this dude is honestly on some weird spiral. Like, this dude needs some help.
Thinks Hitler. I'll tell you who. Somebody with preconceived notions about others. Everyone is already a bigot, so everything they say is bigoted, instead of the other way around. Looking at bigotry and coming to the conclusion that that person's a bigot. No, you have this insane hater tunnel vision, which is why you're coming to insane conclusions like this.
We could talk about the time that Nick Spheres did a video about the disturbing movie Iceberg, who is a great horror trans creator, and in the comments of her video, he said, "We will be watching your career with great interest."
Do you know how this reads to me as? The whole Gendo, Ikari, cross fingers, look at you with glasses, lean back in your chair. We shall be watching your career with great interest. That's how that comes across to me. I need to see how he's going to spin this. This is juicy. I need to see this.
Which is just kind of gross.
That is a line from Star Wars. You really saw him being friendly with a trans person, the trans person being friendly back.
I totally missed that it was a Star Wars quote, honestly. But you see how even me, right? Here, what's the source? Hey, I'm open that I'm neurodivergent, right? I have trouble understanding people. Even I understood that. When neurodivergent Kip can read a room better than you, bro, you got issues. You need help. Don't get me wrong. I pass off as incredibly neurotypical. I worked at the bank job, and somebody over the phone was talking about how their child had autism, and it was just trouble, like a struggle to deal with them because of certain things that they needed, right? And I was like, no, I get it. I'm neurodivergent. And she just goes, really? You didn't seem like it. I'm like, it's called being high functioning. Yeah. I get it. And there was a good conversation that came from that, right? Being able to empathize, being able to understand and have that conversation. When I can read a room and you cannot, there's a problem here.
And came to the conclusion that this was transphobia? For f***'s sake, man, she ooh-wooed at him. Have you ever sat back and thought, hey, maybe if I have to squint my eyes and tilt my head and glue my balls to my butthole in order to paint these people as Nazis, maybe they're not Nazis?
He has interacted positively with Garant Thumb, who has said, the traditional family should be encouraged and strengthened.
All right, here's how we're going to address this, because it's going to come out. Okay, so I have been critical of the Grand Thumb post, specifically using the tranny slur, specifically for that. People have been reading way too deep into it. People are getting so absolutely out of left field. That is the reason I separated. First of all, nobody watched the reactions. That's fine. If nobody watches a reaction to a creator, that's fine. I will private it. That is perfectly fine. Second, why care? If he's allowed to say what he wants, I can say what I want. We can go our separate ways, right? He is allowed to use what words and have what views he can. Yeah, like, that's his right. I'm allowed to have what views I do and know what limits are and aren't okay for me, right? And at a certain point, if I hold people to you must be on this podium 10 out of 10, suddenly I'm not going to have many friends, right? It's a seemingly benign comment. Just like, hey, nobody watched these. I don't agree with this media. I don't agree with the word usage here. I'm just going to private these. Just moving forward at this time, I don't want to deal with it. Turned into people accusing me of wild stuff. And you know what? That's fine. There's still people that are going to go back and still comment on it days after the post. And you know what? That's fine. Go reach out to Grantham. Have them send me a cease and desist. Cool. It's almost like you've dealt with the problem rather than hash it out in YouTube comment section. You can still respect somebody, but say, that worldview doesn't align with me. I see what you're doing. Don't agree with the words, but I just need to go my own way. You can go your own way. Which is a far cry from trying to cancel somebody, from trying to harass them, to defame them, to slander them, right? This is why conversation is dead. People always complain, I want more conversations. We need to be having more conversations. We need to talk more. Why can't people talk anymore? Because when people try to, they get slapped. They get absolutely shredded. And that's why people don't talk anymore. So, that's fine. I've taken a little bit of a step back from YouTube, and it's been honestly really great. I got to do some cool things. Watched Lord of the Rings Return of the King from 1980 recently by Rankin and Bass. Really cool. Don't recommend it if it's your first Lord of the Rings movie. It's for people like me who read the book, know some of the extended lore, the Watchers, the ring scene at the Cracks of Doom, right? Stuff like that, right? This gave me a no small amount of headache this week.
See little to no support from the government or big media.
Traditional families? No!
Like this tweet, right? Even with that said, the traditional family should be encouraged and strengthened. I see little to no support from the government or big media. If you want a nuclear family, who cares? If you want a non-mainstream family, right? Sure. Who cares? I used to work in finance. People don't have money. More people should be getting money. More people should be supported. We should have better infrastructure. We should have better XYZ ABC, right? Looking at this in a vacuum, traditional family should be encouraged and strengthened. I see little no support from the government or big media. I mean, sure. I mean, if you want to spin a narrative out of this, I guess you could. But in a vacuum, looking at this specific tweet, yeah. I mean, if I were to go out and date somebody and her and I were going to have a traditional family, what support is there, right? Especially in 2024, after an entire virus thing for the past 4 years, right? I think this specifically is grasping at straws.
Support from the government or big media.
Traditional families? not traditional families. This is how you know this video was made for one type of person and that type of person only. Because what the are we supposed to be mad at that?
For someone who is supposedly anti-government, he sure does seem to have a lot of wealthy white friends who actively work to uphold the values of the American empire.
For someone who
Dude, oh my god, man. I posted in the server the other day, and I'm just like, yo, who do I petition to like give the US Marine Corps space lasers? Can my tax dollars go to that? But Kip, you're critical. Look, I don't. That's such a weird. I get where he's going from. You want to be anti-government, but also preach at the government, and it's like people are allowed to say things. People are allowed to have opinions. People are allowed to be multifaceted individuals that are deep and complex and not shallow boards. Damn, bro. What's happening here?
the government so much, they sure have a lot of wealthy white friends who hold up the American empire. What the are you saying? It's like lefty Mad Libs. He's just chucking a bunch of buzzwords at the wall and seeing what sticks. Capitalism, cops, white, American empire. Again, he sounds like a conservative's idea of what a lefty would sound like. He sounds like
He's a caricature.
Daily Wire sketch character. He goes on to talk about more Twitter accounts Wendigoon follows and how some of those accounts have liked problematic tweets. Now, see, I always thought fascism was hyper-nationalistic authoritarianism, but apparently it's actually when you follow people on Twitter that Walmart Noah Samson doesn't like.
Do you know what that is? That is normalization and desensitization. I remember a time where I went to high school. Somebody brought a funny little symbol from World War II Germany. They brought the swastika to school. Pretty sure they got suspended. Nowadays, how accepting are people of kids bringing that to school? And out of curiosity, I'm like, hey, look, watch the video. Someone said, yeah, let kids be kids. That shouldn't matter. So I asked an educator. I asked a literal friend of mine, right? Literal educator, literally their job. And he was like, well, I mean, generally, we just put them on, an action plan at that point. Or, I don't think action plan's the right word, but like, we see the incident. We make sure to document the incident. We make sure they understand why this is unacceptable. And this is evidence for any further infractions that can result up to and potentially suspension or expulsion. Right? You see how normal, just the word, what's another word? I don't want to say cringe because that's just one of those words that has just lost all meaning. But when you have a concept, right? Say the term Hitler, say the name Hitler, right? And it gets used over a period of years to call someone on a Reddit board literally Hitler, or somebody on 4chan, you're calling them literally Hitler. Eventually, the name just starts to become more accepted, and the name starts to become more and more widespread, which is it's a problem for normalization and desensitization for certain aspects. That is what some people like me look at in regards to certain trends and go, that's a problem. And I think the school example is a perfect example of that. I lived through this. People at my high school did this. People in high school are now seen from a mass perspective of, well, if kid just does it, it's just kid stuff. It's fine. It is not fine. And the teachers will make sure the students understand that that is not okay and why it's not okay.
Has publicly interacted in a friendly way with the account Rock Solid on multiple occasions.
Responding to someone on Twitter makes you best friends with that person. Hey, by the way, this you being friendly with YouTuber Sophie from Mars, who is allegedly an abuser, is that you, bro? Because according to your own logic, not mine, that makes you and her friends, which makes you a bad person. And personally, I'd rather be friends with people who make jokes on the internet than someone who allegedly puts cigarettes out on their girlfriend's skin. But honestly, I wouldn't hold this against him. How is he supposed to know? You throw a dart into a crowd of these people and you're bound to hit a sex pest.
He is publicly friends with Shoe0nHead, who is a conservative
here we go.
Masquerading as a leftist, who has built a career off of lazy anti-woke content, complaining about SJWs, who says stuff like, Karl Marx rising from the grave finding out his movement has been taken over by fat, ugly, mentally ill losers.
I mean... What's crazy?
Yo, YouTube comment section point out you have to pay to see Karl Marx's grave. That shit's some irony right there. That cracks me up.
Is I could have given you like 20 examples of way worse shit I've said over the years, but instead you choose a random joke I made on Twitter. You just went to my Twitter and found like one of the last tweets I made. This you, Wendigoon? This you, bro? Congratulating someone on their wedding day? A conservative masquerading as a leftist is so funny too, because like, What? What would be the point of that? Am I waiting for like a Soros check? It would be way more lucrative as a woman on the internet to just be a conservative commentator instead of pissing off all sides like I do.
Yeah.
Also, the term publicly friends.
I think it's why I like Shoe0nHead. She just pisses off everybody. Like, her and I may have disagreements sometime, but I mean, I don't know. I piss off a lot of people. Let's put it that way.
With is so funny. He keeps saying it. And like personally, it's hilarious to me because I have to be privately friends with several public figures because they are prisoners to their own audience because
Sounds
their own
right.
audiences are full of people like this guy. So I have a lot of respect for people like Wendigoon who will just talk to anyone they want to and aren't scared of these crybullies. Also, I think it's important to say Wendigoon and I talk on Twitter sometimes, but we're not like best friends. I've never even met him in real life. But because he has the audacity to tweet at me, now all my opinions are his. And as for the lazy accusation, you got me. Honestly, this all would have bothered me way more like a few years ago, but I'm so over it now. Go ahead and call me what you like. I take solace in the fact that every woke idiot that comes at me eventually gets their own ass canceled into the shadow realm, and yet I remain problematic and a moron forever.
I love this. This is perfect. Honestly, I'm starting to feel this too. Being under so many different perspectives, being held to such a high standard for so long, anything I say being wrong, man, I'm just kind of over it at this point. Like, I'm not quite ready to discuss 2A, right, on a podcast, right? I'm not quite at that level, right? Just because gun culture on the internet is weird. It really is. I was literally talking to my Cap Scout buddy about this. We're like at a range, right? Somebody points something where they shouldn't. Hey, stop that. Point it correctly. Then you put it down. Okay, let's talk about why that's a bad thing. There's just some people on the internet that will just like re-screech at you about stuff. And I'm just like, wow. No, so maybe, I don't know, maybe I find Shoe0nHead inspirational now that I think about it, just because she pisses like a lot of people off. Who cares, right? At the end of the day, I have tried to please as many people as I can, take a lot of considerations, and there's still things that I'm just like, hey, I'm not quite ready to discuss that, and right, people respect that. But there are some people that want to make me out to be this villain. You know what? That's fine, I guess. But at the end of the day, what I tell them is, shut up and put your money where your mouth is, right? And actually do something, or just don't. But then again, I guess that's the YouTube sphere at this point, and social media by extension. People will comment all day, leading into the whole thing about zero accountability with the Moist Critical streamer video we watched, right? Where the moment people do everything until you realize consequences are coming for them, and then suddenly they'll change their tune. I'm hitting apathy. I don't really care. I'm here. I'm doing my thing. I'm enjoying what I do. There are cool people like Shoe0nHead that do stuff, right? And I'm just kind of like, yeah. Sometimes people say things I don't agree with. That's fine. I don't cancel them over it. Sometimes I have L takes. People try to cancel me over it. It's like, okay, whatever.
And I personally can't wait until the inevitable day an army of skeletons comes marching out of your closet. What does bother me, however, is linking Wendigoon to me in order to smear him. My friends and I aren't a hive mind. And that might be easy for most people to understand, but not for these people. People like this guy, they don't have friends. They have enemies and they have temporary allies. Yeah. They have people they hate and people they will eventually throw under the bus the second that person has a problematic tweet one day.
He has said many times publicly that he lives in East Tennessee. It is about as white as you could possibly get. Deep Appalachia is very white country, and for the most part, is exceptionally racist. Genuinely in this part of the country, you have to assume that any white person you meet is racist unless they show you otherwise.
That's not even how that works. That is profiling, homie. That is not okay. That's like if I said, like, I was going to say Myrtle Beach in South Carolina, but I heard that's actually, like, a garbage place to be. I hear, like, you go there for, like, specific extracurricular activities, or you don't go to Myrtle Beach, so that's not really a good one. That's like if, like, I said everyone in, like, Georgia was just a raging racist. Objectively untrue? You got a source on that? Maybe certain areas it's more likely, but, like, that's how do you quantify that? How do you source that? How do you cite that? How do you prove that? Right? Wow, dude.
Holy shit! all white people from Appalachia are racist until proven otherwise. He's implying Wendigoon is low-key racist because of where he's from. He literally has no proof otherwise. No videos, no screen caps, nothing that shows Wendigoon being racist. But you see, he has to be. So because he's from Tennessee, he secretly must be. Making a broad negative generalization about somebody based on their race, but wokely, so it's okay. Appalachia is one of the...
Isn't the Bass Pro Shop Pyramid in Tennessee? Like the Bass Pro Shop 8th Wonder of the World Pyramid? Isn't that in Tennessee? So you see how a statement like this could be problematic? Because if we're reaching at straws here, are you also accusing someone like Bass Pro Shop of engaging this behavior and being, you know, awful till proven otherwise, guilty till proven innocent? Wait a minute. We've reached self-actualization. Guilty until proven innocent is generally kind of a dick move? Oh, whoa. It's almost like we're in a society where it's, you know, innocent till proven guilty because everything has to be alleged against you. Insert the like Adult Swim like fireworks like brain blast meme, like straight up.
Poorest areas in the country. And aren't you a poor motherfucker too? I know you don't want to hear it, but the working class revolution is not just going to be full of the purple-haired Starbucks baristas. It's also going to be Billy Bob the truck driver from Tennessee. And you have more in common with those guys than you do the rich bread tubers that you're trying to suck the farts out of currently. So why don't you drop the smug liberal attitude and show some class solidarity, comrade?
Then, of course, there is his username. To the Algonquin people, the Wendigo is a negative spiritual symbol. He has attempted to deflect from...
Oh my god, dude. Oh, he's trying to use the names and symbols mean things. Okay. I can play at that game. Someone names himself Riven, right? Maybe they think the name's cool, right? Names have power. Riven, like, what is it? It's like to separate or like a divide or something like that, right? Okay, so people will take that and, you know, be like, oh, well, we're going to pigeonhole him into that, right? And to a degree, yeah. I mean, you can, if you want to believe names or symbols have power, sure, go for it. But if I like meet someone named Riven and I maybe am just like, hey, I don't know about this person, and then they turn out they're like super legit dude, hey, cool. Yeah. It's almost like individuals are individuals and you have to judge an individual by more than just the cover. Wow. It's wild, dude. This whole video is just like, I am on one today.
Criticism over the use of the name by saying that his grandfather was Native American. But I personally have to look at it from the hypothetical perspective, where, say I had a black or mixed grandfather in this situation, and black people were telling me that I was doing something that was racist or offensive to them. I would then listen to what they were saying instead of claiming that I had the right to do it because I had some melanin in me. Especially if I were more or less...
Okay, so by that, I mean, like, I kind of get the logic he's going with to a degree. That's like, so Cav Scouts have grog, right? And I'm sure you military personnel know exactly what that is. I cannot partake in Cav Scout grog. I cannot partake in Marine activities. And it, you know, your personal military branch, right? I cannot partake in those as I am a civilian. I have not sweat with you. I have not gone through boot camp. I have not gone through the trials and tribulations you've had, right? That's like me saying, oh, but my friend's a Cav Scout. I can partake in the grog. No, you cannot. I understand where he's coming from. Let's see how he caps this out.
Raised within a primarily white cultural area like the Appalachian Mountains are. And also on top of that, just, you know, frequently associated myself with white supremacists.
Whoa. Where was...
Where? How did we get there? That was a jump.
In me. Especially if I were more or less raised within a primarily white cultural area like the Appalachian Mountains are. And also on top of that, just, you know, frequently associated myself with white supremacists.
Yeah, we jumped logic here, Captain. Like, okay, like, there's merit to it, like the Cav Scout argument, right? The Cav Scout grog. There's merit from, like, someone in the Marine Corps gives me the pass to use the term, and I just, for example's sake, jarhead, right? However, I still as an individual can go, you know, I don't feel I've really earned that, you know, even though I have the quote-unquote pass, I want to make sure that I'm respecting as many people as I can, and hence why there were videos where I did say it, and have now since, you know, hey, I'm not going to do that anymore, right? Or, you know, spout off and say the N-word or something like that, right? I mean, like, I understand where he's coming from, but also who cares that his logo's a Wendigo, right? Are you going to, like, make fun of me because I'm a dragon, right? I got horns. Like, oh, well, you're appropriating European or Eastern dragons. Like, what? I guess, like, if I had to commentate on that, it's like pick and choose your battles. Like, if I tried to appropriate Japanese tea culture and I bastardized it and was clearly being a what we will call a dick, yeah, should probably get called out on that. It's the internet. How many people have like Kuro and anime profile pictures, right? Like, this one he's conflating, I think, 3 arguments into one. So it's like 3 arguments in a trench coat. And that's what's losing me here, because there's so much to unpack here.
Whoa. Where was the white supremacy? You spent like 10 minutes smearing a bunch of people Wendigoon talks to, but not once did you show any white supremacy. Again, just haphazardly throwing around lefty buzzwords. White supremacy.
We could talk about his past and supposedly being a founding member in an online conspiracy theory group that, according to him, snowballed out of control into being a white supremacist neo-Nazi organization called the Boogaloo Boys. In 2020, they killed several police officers in a drive-by shooting in Oakland, hoping that black people would be blamed for the violence, in an attempt to create racial tension.
So basically, Wendigoon was part of a libertarian group that eventually became more extreme and radical over time, and he no longer agreed with the goals, so he left it and he disavowed it.
So, you know who else did this in history? You know that Pol Pot went over to France and was part of the Communist Party of France, and then went back to Cambodia, and that's, what kind of started a bunch of stuff in Cambodia, leading to, S-21. And like, what was it? A quarter of the entire population just being like endgamed. So do we blame France for that? I mean, this is the topic of communism, but like, I understand what he's trying to say, right? Does it look good? Not necessarily. However, that's with the understanding that it was always the same. If this started as one thing, became another thing, and he said, whoa, I'm leaving, and is not associated or affiliated with that and can reasonably prove that, because I guarantee you, stuff like that, investigations do happen. Yeah, he's not affiliated with it. Does he still make contact with these people? No. Well, he doesn't make contact with them. Is he still part of their activities? No. Well, he doesn't. He's not part of it. Like, that's like saying that, like, you were part of this PTA or this book club 10 years ago, but the dude ended up touching some kid. And, well, now you're guilty, right? No, it's that one dick. Or the group was like primarily focused on, oh my God, say there's a group that forms for Yu-Gi-Oh, right? And, we could meet and play Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff, but everyone starts bringing their really sussy and like NSFW playmats to a store where kids are at. And I'm like, I really don't want to be part of this anymore. I'm leaving, right? And then they get in trouble because they keep bringing like H mats and like not safe for work mats to the game store where kids are. Okay. You see how it started as one thing and now it's not another? How that logic doesn't track? But if I did join an organization that said we're hell-bent on fighting X, right? X thing, right? We're hell-bent on fighting the Federal Reserve and trying to lower inflation, right? And their methods out the gate were pretty not okay. And I knew that going in and I still stayed. You see how that's different? The generalizations being made by this dude are absolutely unreal, dude.
Okay. Isn't that what you want? For him to own up to his mistakes and take accountability? You'd have a point if he was still involved in this group, or even if he was part of the group while the group was doing all these terrible things, but right. He wasn't. It's so funny he had to add this completely made-up factoid that the Boogaloos killed cops in order to blame it on black people, but I couldn't find that literally anywhere. In fact, I found the exact opposite. The Boogaloo Boys made sure people knew it was done by them. And it wasn't to spark a race war, it was to spark more anti-government sentiment. The Boogaloo Boys are a radical libertarian group. They hate cops. So I think this guy made up this thing about them wanting to blame black people, so people in his audience wouldn't think the Boogaloo Boys were cool. Yeah, they killed cops, but not in the based cool way we want to kill cops. This is probably the most damning evidence they have against Wendigoon, even though he's not involved in this group anymore.
So here's the thing, right? That was an FBI statement, was it not? And here's how I look at this, right? And I'm more... technically, there's people that can't chime in on this because even if they knew, they'd probably be under NDA or some kind of OPSEC or security that they couldn't comment on it. Even then, I'm a smaller channel, they shouldn't comment on it anyways. The way that I look at it is, if they knew this was the group, they'd be looking at all their group activities. They'd know who's on those rosters. They'd know who's on, who's been affiliated with them, who is affiliated with them, who's supplying them certain things, right? It's not out of the question, in my opinion, for Wendigoon to have been contacted by the FBI, or at least him kind of skimmed over in their database for any sort of affiliation, etc., right? I think reasonably, a situation like this being brought up to the FBI's attention, they're going to do their research, or you'd hope they do their research, right? So, I mean, if he has nothing to do with it, and he hasn't had anything to do with it, and he left, and it's clear that he left because of the direction they were taking before this, right? Reasonably, I mean, sure, he may be on a list at absolute most, but let's be real, it's the internet. Who's not on a list? The joke is, it's not if you're on a list, it's how many lists you're on, right? No, I don't know. This one's a weird one. Like, yes, you can use that as evidence, but see my whole blame at argument. It depends. Every situation is going to be different, and at the end of the day, it requires information that most likely you or I will never be able to access. So, I mean, I don't know. This one's kind of a weird one.
But they still f***ed it up. Zayn was liking tweets from people, glazing him, telling him what an amazing job he was doing for finally going after Wendigoon, our glorious Reddit white knight, basking in the attention and glory of finally slaying the bad vibes dragon. All while Wendigoon left a nice comment on the guy's video, telling people not to be mean to this guy. Well, that sign won't stop me because I can't read.
I mean, you get a player. I can't read. What Chad energy it takes to like go up on a hit piece and say do not harass. That in itself is character not showcased by the OP. That is built different, built legendary. To look that in the face, not want to fight, just do not, right? I do like Shoe0nHead though. She's spicy today.
One comment I found on this guy's video was like, loving the Wendigoon fanboys trying to deny that he's conservative. He'll get away with it because he's popular though. He'll get away with it. Get away with what? The crime of being popular online while not agreeing with you politically? Is that what this expose is about? Wendigoon exposed, not a communist. Nobody gives a shit.
So what if he's a conservative? Is that a problem? Which, the answer to that is yes. But the reason that I care is because this does not belong in horror. Or anywhere.
What?
I care deeply about horror, and everything that he does has demonstrated so far in his career that he should not be welcomed in our spaces. Or even, just in public in general.
So what I'm hearing is that the OP is saying that he and other horror creators are more equal. Is that what I'm hearing? I chose those words on purpose, dude. What a trip, dude. Like I probably could have railed something and this would have made infinitely more sense, or made something with it. This is wild, dude. Like, wow. Like, so in React content, right? I guess you can vilify me because I call out some of the React content sphere. But like one of the big reasons I call it, why don't we cite the original videos, right? What do you mean, Kip? Like, go look at some big React content creators, and like, what if you want to find the original video? Because sometimes they'll just like cut to like full screen, right? I don't know what the original video is. I want to do that. Every video I post, because I saw a lack of it in the React content sphere, I post original channel link, original video link. Right now, go down in the description right now. You will see them. Not a lot of people do it. I think that's a relevant call out, though. I think it's, hey, I'm in this sphere. People, even though I do so many other projects, want to watch me for reactions. So sure, cool, homie, I guess. I think that's a fair call out. This is not me saying, like throwing some slander at Asmongold or something like that for ruining. You see how that just starts getting weird and how we're getting to some weird, like, cancel vibes, right? No, this is not this.
What? Okay. First of all, I assure you nobody wants to be in your space, bro. Imagine the smell. But second of all, in public, Wendigoon should not be allowed in public spaces. Wendigoon should not be allowed to exist in society because he is Twitter friends with people this guy disagrees with on Twitter.
Should not be accepted
That's a
within
problem.
society at all. They should not be celebrated. They should be treated for what they are. Because remember, kids, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
Well, you've told us you're a lying, manipulative hack, and I believe you. But Wendigoon's
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's a fair take. So it shows me that he is willing to derail an entire video to like hate spiral and not even cite your sources. So yeah, OP, I don't know if you'll ever see this, probably not, right? But you have clearly showcased your inability to cite sources, to do your research, and to really just make your sources up, or just really kind of... If this was some elaborate satire, this would have worked. The fact that this isn't satire pisses me off.
actions, words, and even comments he left on your video tell us he's a good person. You're so lost in the sauce, you don't even realize all you did to the average viewer was make this guy seem like a kind person who learns and grows from his mistakes.
Yeah.
These flimsy accusations and guilt by associations may work for the NPCs in your audience who already hated Wendigoon based on vibes, but you need to bring more to the table than unsourced Reddit comments. If you're trying to convince the average person who isn't terminally online that this guy deserves to be ostracized from society. The fact is, most people have friends they don't politically agree with. Most people make edgy jokes. Many people are into guns. Many support the police. And most enjoy when pedophiles die. These things you listed as like crimes Wendigoon's friends have done in order to smear Wendigoon do not make them fascists or Nazis. They make them normal people. At the end of the day, this was just a witch hunt against a normal guy. But to these people, that is the enemy. The normal guy. They can dress it up however they want, but at the end of the day, that's what this video was. An attack on normal guys. And it's always been a war on normal guys. But hey, I'm glad you deleted the video. Hopefully you learned from this, but according to your Discord messages, you haven't. Anyway, that was that video. I just really wanted to stick up for someone who absolutely did not deserve all the hate. Thank you again to everyone who donates to me on Patreon. You help so much. And I will see you all real soon with a new video. Bye!
Yeah, no, I thought this was a very coherent video. I thought this was great. Like, is there an after? There's not. Sometimes there's an after that she puts in. What a weird reach for this man.
Hello,
like,
police?
Oh.
Someone called me a faggot on the internet.
Straight up, though. Like, really? Like, and so here's the thing, right? If Shoe0nHead, because I guess Shoe0nHead, like, views things, right? Views reactions and stuff. I'm sure there's things in this that I say that she won't agree with. There's things that someone else says that I don't agree with, right? People are allowed to be people. I don't know. It's really weird. Like, there's this effect that I'm noticing that people are fine with freedom of expression until it doesn't match what they believe, and it's very interesting to watch from like a person watching a societal standpoint. Like, I thought this was coherent. I think that this was justified, even if the video was taken down. And once again, right? Oh, well, people learn from their mistakes. In his Discord post, he shows that he's not willing to learn. He shows that he doesn't really have remorse about this, and that's a problem. You know who else meme? I don't know, man. Like, this guy's got some issues. He needs some professional help. Like, there's gonna be so many out of context things people are gonna take on this video, but I think that I've showcased one that at least I'm consistent. I feel that I'm reasonable. Maybe it's not the most W take, maybe it's not the most L take, right? But I feel I'm reasonable, and at the very least I try to be genuine, where other people will just doctor it up and then, oh, well, I need to pick this side, or I need to pick this side, or that side's more. Bro, fuck sides, my dude, my guy. Like, be an individual, be a person, right? I don't agree with everything my dad says. I don't agree with everything my grandpa says. I don't agree with everything my mom says, right? But it's like, damn, we can have conversations. We can be different people, and you work around that. It's probably why relationships are in the toilet at this point, because people don't know how to work with each other, right? Like, there's one thing about, like, you know, somebody, you're not wanting to date somebody and they guilt trip you into it by crying in a Burger King, right? Sure, probably not a good idea. Like, somebody having a Twitter, or somebody having, like, other guy friends or other female friends they talk to, and they're like open to, like, yeah, no, like, they're just friends, right? And it never is like more than that. Sure, who cares, bro? Now, if it gets encroached upon, that's a different situation entirely, and I'm a fan of everyone needs to be given that chance. I don't know. We're off the rails today on this one. That was awful. That was genuinely awful from OP. And you know, as somebody that suffered through some of my own like advertising stuff and YouTube monetization stuff, like, get a life. Like, if you're really doing that bad, look at your process, understand what you're doing wrong, where you're doing wrong, where you could improve, or just stop and do something else. Like, I don't fucking know, dude. This was wild. And this is actually why I'm kind of just like, you know, kind of burnt out in certain aspects. I'm taking a little bit of a, you know, step back from YouTube and stuff, step back from the comment section, which I still read. I go through the comments a lot, but certain things I just kind of ignore because it's just not, it's not worth my time and it's not worth anyone else's time, right? So thank you. I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate you coming on out. Shoe0nHead, thank you for making such a banger video. I'm sure absolutely none of this is going to be taken out of context. Wink, wink. God, context. And yeah. No, I think that this was a like certified witch hunt with zero research, zero citations, zero actual evidence presented, and this was just a shit opinion piece that the dude knew was going to get him in trouble, so he deleted it and still owns that he did it. So I don't know. I have no feelings for that OP. I got no sympathy. Have a good one. See you in the next one.